Hi, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to talk about why people lose money in the stock market. Why so many people lose money in the stock market. This is a big topic actually, but I don't want to make it too extensive here. I just want to keep it simple. This goes back to this mindset principle of and this money principle of not investing in anything that you know very little or nothing about. And this is the principle that I use in my own life. I don't invest in things that I don't know. And the problem is, people think they know. People think they read a few books, or they talk to a financial advisor, or they read an article on the internet, and they think they know. The depth at which you have to know something to be really good at that thing and succeed in that thing is much deeper than most people think. I mean, reading an article about mutual funds, or reading up on a stock, or getting a stock tip, or reading a couple of books on that is not nearly enough. It's not nearly enough for you to have enough knowledge about the markets and the different aspects of the market for you to be a successful investor. Even people who know, who really do know a lot, even the professionals. There was a statistic that I read years ago, that something like over 80% of the professional investors cannot beat the market. I mean, if you were to just invest money in an index fund that is spread out over, let's say, the S&P 500 or something, 500 companies, or the Wilshire 2000 index, like 2000 global companies, and you just park your money there and you forget about it for 15, 20 years, and then you follow the performance of a professional investor who does this, and who times the market, and who sells and buys at certain points, and the same person gives tips to other people. Over 80% of those professional advisors could not beat you. And you did nothing. You just parked your money into a very broad index fund, and you just let it sit for 15 or 20 years. And that's to show you how difficult it is to win in this sort of casino called the stock market. And I call it casino because for the vast majority, I would say, look, in my experience, I would say nearly 100%, okay? 99% of people that I encounter in life, they are using the stock market as a casino. And even if they don't think they are, even if they think they're savvy investors, and these are people who are very educated people, people who know a lot about other things. Some of them have doctorates, and a lot of them have master's degrees, and they're in very technical fields, and they know their stuff. But that doesn't mean they know the markets. And it's to tell you that for most people, investing in the stock market is just like going to the casino and hoping that you're going to beat the house. It doesn't happen. And everybody points to that one example. Well, I know this guy. I heard about this guy. I saw this YouTube, this guy on YouTube, or I read the book about some guy who made millions in the markets, and who. You always have that one person who did that, okay? But for every person that you read about, or you watch, who succeeded in the markets, there are 10,000 who did not. There are 1,000 who did not. So let me talk about the vast majority of people out there. If you're working as an employee, your 401k plan, any of the retirement plans that you have, are all invested in the stock market. And so I would say the vast majority of money that is in the stock market is probably through these retirement plans, like the 401k plans, and there are many variations of different retirement plans. And because so many people work for so many companies, and all of these companies offer, not all of them, but a lot of them offer these retirement plans, and without knowing much about it, that's what employees do. They just put their money, I think I'll put it in this or this, and they just, and then they just put it in, but they have really no idea about what they're putting their money into. They know nothing about it. No wonder so many people lose money in the markets. And in fact, if you are ignorant about the markets, and you admit that you're ignorant, you say, I really don't know anything about it, and all you do is you just keep putting, like whatever it is, 10%, 15% of your income, and sometimes a company matches that, and you're just putting it in there. and you don't know anything, you don't know any better, so you just keep putting it in, just paycheck after paycheck, every 2 weeks it keeps going in. You don't even check it, you don't even look at it, and you do that for 20 or 30 years, and at the end you might have a pleasant surprise. Okay, that's in fact better, but that's assuming that you invested your money in a broad index fund, probably, like the S&P 500 index fund or the Wilshire 2000 global index fund or some kind of an index fund like that. I certainly don't recommend putting your money into individual stocks. I think that's very dangerous, especially if you don't know any. I mean, if you don't know anything, everything you do is dangerous, okay? Anything that you do without knowledge is dangerous. What can be very profitable for one person can be disastrous for another person because they don't know what they're doing. It's not so much there are good and bad investments. It's more like there are bad and good investors, okay? And whatever you go into, you have to have a lot of knowledge. And most people are not willing to spend the time and the energy to really research what it takes to invest wisely in the markets. They don't know much about the markets. They don't want to take the time to read about it, to know about it, to really understand it. And so no wonder so many people lose money in the markets. Okay, let me just give you a very specific example. And this happens to so many people. Okay, and what is that? People put their money in the stock market. Now, a lot of people don't even know the difference between a stock and a mutual fund and an index fund and the Dow, and that they have no idea what these things are. They're just words, and they hear them in the news. They read about them on the internet, but they have no idea what the differences are. But they put their money and they say, oh yeah, I'm in the stock market. It makes them sound savvy, makes them feel sophisticated. Okay, so they put their money in there, and then they're watching their account. They're watching their account. Some of them, are obsessive about this. They're watching it every week, every month, and they're watching it and they're feeling really good. They're feeling really good. It's oh man, I made this much money. My investment went up this much, and they're feeling good. And all of a sudden, 1 month, 1 day, 1 week, it tanks, it goes down. And they're like, oh, it'll come back up tomorrow. Same, they look at tomorrow, it doesn't. It goes down further. The third day, oh, better come up today. Now they're getting desperate. They're just really worried now. And they can't think about anything else. The third day, going down again. Fourth day, going down again. So eventually, you know what? Fifth day, sixth day, seventh day, it's going to keep going down. I'm going to lose all my money. They get emotional. They get scared. And they pull all their money out. I gotta minimize my losses. So I'm gonna pull the money out. So let's say it was at 100,000, start tanking. So now they're pulling out. It's 70,000. They got 70,000, and because they pulled their money out, they're gonna have to pay taxes on whatever gains that they may have had. Okay. So now not only did they lose money because they pulled their money out, they pulled it out prematurely, and some people are pulling out of their retirement plans, their 401ks and stuff, and you pay a hefty penalty, if you pull it out before a certain age, usually like 59 and a half. So I mean, this is like a double whammy here. You lost some money, and you have to pay taxes on it. And the reason that people do this is because they're ignorant about what the market is and how it works. The market goes up, the market goes down. That's a normal thing. It doesn't always go up, and it doesn't always go down. It will not, even when it goes down, it's not going to always stay down. It'll go back up. It's just a matter of how long will it go down and how long will it stay down before it goes back up. When it goes up, it's a matter of how long will it go up and how long will it stay up until it comes back down. But it will go up and it will go down. Now, over the long history of the stock market, we've seen it overall go up, but you don't have 150 years. You may not even have 80 years. You may not have 50 years. When people talk about, well, there are certain mutual funds and there are certain index funds and certain funds that have performed very, very well. On average, they performed a certain percent over and they'll say something like, 80 years or 50 years. But what if you're 60 years old and you don't have 80 years? You don't have 50 years to invest in the stock market. It's very tricky, depending on your investing horizon. I mean, if you're 20 years old and you say, you know what, you're working for a company and they're going to match your contribution. When you put in $100, they'll put in $100, or when you put in $100, they'll put in $50. Let's say some situation like that. Then I say, all right, if you invest in a broad index fund, let's say, and like I said, you just keep putting it in, and you don't even pay attention to it. Okay, you don't switch it around. You're not trying to re-diversify or reallocate your funds or anything fancy like that. You just keep putting in year after year. 20, 30 years later, like I said, you might get a nice, pleasant surprise. But the longer your investing horizon, the better chance you have that it will turn out well. But a lot of people, they're putting it in, and 5 years later, they're like, man, it didn't go up that much. I mean, when I consider how much money I put in and where my account is, what my value is now compared to where I had it, yeah, it went up. But that's basically the money that I put in. It's not really that I saw any growth on the money that I put in. It's mostly just the money that I put in. And you don't know how many times I hear this from people because their investing horizon is too short. And here's the thing. A lot of people don't want to or can't afford to have a very, very, very long planning horizon, investing horizon. And so you have to be very careful in listening to these quote experts about, when they quote things like that. Oh, this mutual fund in its 80-year history or its 50-year history or its 20-year history, it has on average returned 10% a year or 12% a year or 8% a year. And then they'll make the spreadsheet chart for you and it'll show you, compound interest, and it'll show you, wow, if it went going at like the historical rates here at what it performed in the past 20 years, if it continues for the next 20 years, you might be a millionaire in 15 years and you feel all good. Wow, really? Like this is incredible. So I'm putting my money into it, and people get all crazy, and then they're very disappointed at the end. Okay. Remember, they always have this little disclaimer that past performance doesn't guarantee future results. And that is very, very true. And it's more true than people think. So my advice is if you're an employee, I don't want to give money advice here. I'm not telling you where to put it or what to do or how much of the money. I'm just telling you this is what people normally do. And the reason they lose money in the markets is that they don't know anything about it, number one. They really don't know much about it at all. Number two, they're putting their money in the wrong things, like individual stocks and things like that, which they know nothing of. If you know nothing, better to just put it in a broad index fund, okay? And then number three is that they get emotional and then they pull out their money when they should not pull it out. You never pull your money out when the stock market is going down. You just wait it out. You have to wait it out. If you pull your money out then, you're going to kick yourself when it goes back up. Okay, and it goes the other way. You don't want to start investing when the market is at record highs. Oh, the record is really high, so it's really all-time high. So I'm gonna invest now. Okay, these are just antithetical to stock market success. You can't do it like this. And so my recommendation is this: I'm not telling you where to invest or what to invest in or how much to invest in, anything like that. Here's what I'm telling you: if you're going to invest in it. Make sure that you learn a lot about it. When I say a lot about it, let me tell you, just give you some comparison about what I'm talking about. Before I invested in the stock market and before I did that, and by the way, disclaimer, I don't invest in the stock market. I have read probably, 30, 40 books on the topic over the years. I've invested in all kinds of funds and things in the market. I've invested in IPOs. I've done day trading before. I've done penny trading before. I invested in real estate investment trusts. I invested in single stocks of large companies like Amazon and Google and so forth. I've also done smaller companies. I've done, manufacturing companies like Toyota. I've done retail like Starbucks. I've also done just S&P 500 index funds. I've done like Wilshire 2000 global index funds and other index funds. I've done those things. I've done, all kinds of, I've invested in 401k plans before. And so I know something of which I speak when I'm in this thing. And I can tell you that even after all of that experience, and even after years of doing that, I can tell you, I feel like I still don't know much about the markets. So when someone tells me, well, I read a couple of books, or I saw this YouTube video on investing, and I think I'm ready, I'm just thinking in my mind, like, you have no idea what you don't know. It's much more complicated than that. And so, and you don't understand, I think, people's emotions and how the emotions affect the stock market, how geopolitical events, affect the stock market, and on and on. I mean, it's just, there's so much to it that I feel like most people have no idea what they don't know. They don't have any idea how much they don't know. And so people always point to people like Warren Buffett. Now, Warren Buffett, he made, he's a multi-billionaire and he's been investing in the stock market his whole life. Yes, he has. But you're not Warren Buffett. There's only one Warren Buffett. I mean, that's the thing. I'm not trying to be like Warren Buffett because I'm not Warren Buffett. And so, it's just, you can always point to one or two examples of very famous people who were successful at anything. But then you ask yourself, are you that person? No, you're not. And you don't know what that person knows. So it wouldn't be right to try to copy that person. Okay, it doesn't work like that. And so, you got to know a lot about it. You have to know a lot about it. And if you do invest, like sometimes in school, what they do is they have in finance classes, or like in high schools, they have kids playing with fake money. So they just act like it's like role playing. So okay, today let's pretend we bought this stock, or we bought this mutual fund, or we put this much money in it, and we bought this many shares. Let's pretend, and then they just keep track of it and see how their accounts perform over the course of 1 year or 2 years, and they kind of practice that. I think that's a good idea before you start playing with real money. And then like I said, you cannot invest and put money in or take money out based on emotions. That's not investing. Okay, that's just gambling. And so if you know nothing about it, best probably not to put it in. If you're an employee, they're putting that money in, they're matching that. So, I told one person who's been working in the government for about 15 years now, and he's been, investing in his retirement plan, and he's invested in all kind, index funds and individual stock and all these kind of things. And then he ended up doing what he thought was the safest thing. And I told him that's probably not a bad idea. Okay. He chose the one that gives him the least returns. Okay. The smallest return per year on average, but it's the safest one. It doesn't really fluctuate. Okay. And here's the reasoning. When he puts in $100, every time he gets a paycheck, he puts in $100. The agency puts in, I think, like half of that, $50, or maybe they match it, whatever. Let's just say it's 50%. So when he invests $100 on every paycheck, the government matches that and pays him 50. I said right there, you just made your interest. That's where you get your return. Okay, so you made 50% on your interest because when you invested the 100, they gave you 50. Count that as your return and forget about any extra returns you might get in the stock market. And he felt safest doing that. And so that's what he does. He doesn't, he just invests in, when you have a retirement plan, you have a lot of choices, and he just picked the one that is basically like a, I don't know exactly which option it was, but the one that gave him the least returns, but it was the safest. There's really almost no movement there. That's one way to think about it. In fact, I think that was not a bad idea. Okay. So anyway, look, like I said, this goes very deep. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just giving you examples of what works and what doesn't work, and what some people do and don't do. But I am worried for you if you are investing in things that you have no knowledge of. So make sure that you do a lot of research, that you get good advice from people who have actually done it, not people who are allegedly professional investors. They're just getting a commission to move your money around all over the place. You want to, whenever you learn something, whenever you want to learn about something, make sure you go to people who have actually done it. and have found success in that thing. Not just people who have degrees in that thing, not people who have read books on that thing, not people who have heard things from other people and they're just spitting it back out to you. No, people who have actually done that thing and succeeded in that thing. Those are the only people really that you should listen to when it comes to money. So I hope you keep that in mind so that you don't lose money in the stock market. If you have any questions or comments, I'd really be interested in hearing about them. So you can put them in the comment section. And I encourage you to watch a lot of my other videos on my channel about money and personal finance and parenting advice and mindset for success and career advice and so on and so forth. So, and then I think you'll find, if you found this one helpful, I think you'll find those other ones helpful as well. So anyway, thanks for watching this video up to this point. And until my next video, I hope you stay well.